You think you're too young to wear the scent of carnation? You're old enough to vote, to have an effect on the society, to drive, to smoke, but you are too young for this simple flower? Or you are a slightly older person and the carnation has negative associations for you, like death, putting carnations on graves. Yes, I know, I have that too. But the carnation has tons of other different meanings as well. It symbolizes the motherly love, for example. When I was young, we had Mother Day celebrations in the kindergarten and in the elementary school. We gave carnations to our moms. It refers to gratitude, love, and admiration. In Spain, it's the national flower, and it was the symbol of courage for the French soldiers a long time ago. Are you a man and you think that the carnation smell is too feminine? No, it's not. It's not a cute feminine scent at all. It's quite spicy and almost too masculine, actually. Let's just say perfectly gender neutral. But it is an old smell, that's true. Not as modern as rose or jasmine, for example. But what if I told you that Vitriol de Jet is interesting enough to try at least, despite the associations and preconceptions? It is a soliflor perfume, which means that it is all about the scent of one single flower. Now, if you want to release a good carnation perfume in 2011, you need a very good perfumer and concept to stimulate the curiosity of the fragrance lovers. The perfumer behind this creation is the great Christopher Sheldrake, who's my favorite perfumer ever. He made most of the Serge Lutens scents, but actually he is employed by Chanel since 2005. He works as the director of research and development over there, but fortunately he still makes fragrances for Serge Lutens too. The name Vitriol de Jet means vitriol of carnation. Vitriol refers to sulfuric acid, which is a very strong acid, and that's where the other meaning of the word comes from. Harsh criticism. Because such criticism can be painful to receive, it can burn you like the acid. Strange, right? I think it's time to read the press release. By the way, the Serge Lutens press releases are often very cryptic and hard to decipher, but in this case, Uncle Serge wasn't that mysterious. Anger is nudged into the heart of this perfume. Cuffed by wallflower, nailed by the claws, it packs a punch. Abandoned on the silk slit of a buttonhole, the shredded petals of carnation tear apart the skies and the soul. What is it, Mr. Jekyll? Listen, my child, and I will tell you everything. Take a carnation and a sufficient quantity of cayenne pepper. Firmly drive it into the very center, using the nails of a claw. Before committing the final act of violence, let wallflower throw in a few punches. Nails of a claw. That's the literal translation of the French word for claw, clou de girofle. Clou means nail, girofle means claw, the plant. And that makes sense because claws do look like small nails. In Hungarian, my mother tongue, we have a similar word for claw that shows the actual connection between carnation and claw, which I'll talk about in a minute. The Hungarian word for claw is szegfűszeg, which actually means carnation nail or nail of carnation. Vitriol, burning acid or words, anger, nails, violence, Dr. Jekyll. So Mr. Hyde must be here too, somewhere. He is the aggressive one in Robert Louis Stevenson's famous story from 1886, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which you probably know very well. But what you might not know is that the most famous theatre adaptation of the novella opened in August 1888 in London, around the time of the Jack the Ripper killings. The newspapers referred to the murderer as Mr. Hyde, the evil side of a normal person who talked to be a doctor just like Mr. Jekyll. And allegedly, Jack the Ripper used to wear carnation as a buttonhole flower.
My analysis of this soul, the human psyche, leads me to believe that man is not truly one, but truly two. One of him strives for the nobilities of life. This we call his good self. The other seeks an expression of impulses that bind him to some dim animal relation with the earth. This we may call the bad.
The first phase of the fragrance represents the bad self, the harsher side of the carnation. Now, carnation has a sweet, herbal, spicy and heavy floral smell, and the clove amplifies the spicy aspect of the flower. It makes the scent a bit more rough, sharp, slightly minty and violent. The carnation petals have naturally serrated edges, and the clove magnifies these in a figurative sense. As I mentioned before, there is a clear connection between clove and carnation, and that is their somewhat similar smell. They go hand in hand. The main chemical that gives clove its characteristic smell is the now highly restricted eugenol. The clove bud essential oil can contain up to 90% eugenol, while natural carnation absolute has around 15% of it. And there is the cayenne pepper, or just simply chili pepper. It boosts the thickness, the vividness of the flower. It heats it up without making the scent food-like. The actual smell of the pepper is not clearly recognizable. So the clove and the chili pepper together are the potion that brings Mr. Hyde to life. The second phase represents the good self, the softer side of the carnation. As the perfume dries down, the carnation loses from its harshness and saturation a bit. It gets a little rosy, and another potion appears to bring back the good Dr. Jekyll, which is the lily. Now, lily has a balsamic, oily and waxy floral smell that is perfect to tame and drown down the carnation even further, and it also acts as a faint background layer. The press release mentions wallflower too, which is a rarely used perfume ingredient. It does exist, but it's just a fantasy smell in most fragrances. It's not present in this scent. I can smell any special floral aromas beside the lily. Maybe just some creamy ylang-ylang, but that's not obvious either. This creation is best on cold, rainy days, but it can be worn all year round by anybody, regardless of gender, and it has good average tenacity. Overall, it's a beautifully melancholic perfume, a uniquely painted, simple soliflor. Sometimes, this is all you need. Vitriol de Yet is a bittersweet scent of me.